What is Bitcoin? BTC? Bitcoin is a decentralized cryptocurrency originally described in a 2008 white paper by a person or group of people using the alias Satoshi Nakamoto. It was launched soon after, in January 2009. Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer online currency, meaning that all transactions happen directly between equal, independent network participants, without the need for any intermediary to permit or facilitate them. Bitcoin was created, according to Nakamoto's own words, to allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. Some concepts for a similar type of a decentralized electronic currency precede BTC, but Bitcoin holds the distinction of being the first ever cryptocurrency to come into actual use. Who are the founders of Bitcoin? Bitcoin's original inventor is known under a pseudonym, Satoshi Nakamoto. As of 2021, the true identity of the person or organization that is behind the alias remains unknown. On October 31, 2008, Nakamoto published Bitcoin's white paper, which described in detail how a peer-to-peer online currency could be implemented. They proposed to use a decentralized ledger of transactions packaged in batches called blocks and secured by cryptographic algorithms. The whole system would later be dubbed blockchain. Just 2 months later, on January 3, 2009, Nakamoto mined the first block on the Bitcoin network, known as the Genesis block, thus launching the world's first cryptocurrency. Bitcoin price was $0 when first introduced, and most Bitcoins were obtained via mining, which only required moderately powerful devices, e.g. PCs, and mining software. The first known Bitcoin commercial transaction occurred on May 22, 2010, when programmer Laszlo Hunieks traded 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas. At Bitcoin price today, in mid-September 2021, those pizzas would be worth an astonishing $478 million. This event is now known as Bitcoin Pizza Day. In July 2010, Bitcoin first started trading, with the Bitcoin price ranging from 80 cents to 80 cents at that time. However, while Nakamoto was the original inventor of Bitcoin, as well as the author of its very first implementation, he handed the network alert key and control of the code repository to Gavin Andresen, who later became lead developer at the Bitcoin Foundation. Over the years, a large number of people have contributed to improving the cryptocurrency software by patching vulnerabilities and adding new features. Bitcoin's source code repository on GitHub lists more than 750 contributors, with some of the key ones being Vladimir J. van der Leyen, Marco Falk, Pieter Wuille, Gavin Andresen, Jonas Schnelli, and others. What makes Bitcoin unique? Bitcoin's most unique advantage comes from the fact that it was the very first cryptocurrency to appear on the market.it, has managed to create a global community and give birth to an entirely new industry of millions of enthusiasts who create, invest in, trade, and use Bitcoin and others cryptocurrencies in their everyday lives. The emergence of the first cryptocurrency has created a conceptual and technological basis that subsequently inspired the development of thousands of competing projects. The entire cryptocurrency market, now worth more than $2 trillion, is based on the idea realized by Bitcoin. Money that can be sent and received by anyone, anywhere in the world, without reliance on trusted intermediaries, such as banks and financial services companies. Thanks to its pioneering nature, BTC remains at the top of it. This energetic market, after over a decade of existence. Even after Bitcoin has lost its undisputed dominance, it remains the largest cryptocurrency, with a market capitalization that surpassed the $1 trillion mark in 2021, after Bitcoin price hit an all-time high of $64,800 $863.10 on April 14, 2021. This is owing in large part to growing institutional interest in Bitcoin and the ubiquitousness of platforms that provide use cases for BTC wallets, exchanges, payment services, online games, and more. How much Bitcoin is in circulation? Bitcoin's total supply is limited by its software and will never exceed 21 million coins. New coins are created during the process known as mining, as transactions are relayed across the network. They get picked up by miners and packaged into blocks, which are in turn protected by complex cryptographic calculations. As compensation for spending their computational resources, the miners receive rewards for every block that they successfully add to the blockchain. At the moment of Bitcoin's launch, the reward was 50 Bitcoins per block. This number gets halved with every 210,000 new blocks mined, which takes the network roughly 4 years. As of 2020, the block reward has been halved 3 times and comprises 6.25 Bitcoins. Bitcoin has not been pre-mined, meaning that no coins have been mined and or distributed between the founders before it became available to the public. However, during the first few years of BTC's existence, the competition between miners was relatively low, allowing the earliest network participants to accumulate significant amounts of coins. Via regular mining, Satoshi Nakamoto alone is believed to own over 1 million Bitcoin. Mining Bitcoins can be very profitable for miners, depending on the current hash rate and the price of Bitcoin. While the process of mining Bitcoins is complex, we discuss how long it takes to mine 1 Bitcoin on CoinMarketCap Alexandria. As we wrote above, mining Bitcoin is best understood as how long it takes to mine 1 block, as opposed to 1 Bitcoin. As of mid-September 2021, the Bitcoin mining reward is capped to 6.25 BTC after the 2020 halving, which is roughly $299,200 in Bitcoin price today. How is the Bitcoin network secured? Bitcoin is secured with the SHA-256 algorithm, which belongs to the SAHA-2 family of hashing algorithms, which is also used by its fork Bitcoin Cash, BCH, as well as several other cryptocurrencies. What is Bitcoin's role as a store of value? Bitcoin is the first decentralized peer-to-peer digital currency. One of its most important functions is that it is used as a decentralized store of value. In other words, it provides for ownership rights as a physical asset or as a unit of account. However, the latter store of value function has been debated. Many crypto enthusiasts and economists believe that high-scale adoption of the top currency will lead us to a new modern financial world where transaction amounts will be denominated in smaller units. The smallest units of Bitcoin, 0.1 BTC, are called satoshis, or sats in short, in a nod to the pseudonymous creator. At Bitcoin price now, 1 satoshi is equivalent to roughly 48 cents. The top crypto is considered a store of value, like gold, for many rather than a currency. This idea of the first cryptocurrency as a store of value, instead of a payment method, means that many people buy the crypto and hold on to it long-term, or HODL, rather than spending it on items, like you would typically spend $1 treating it as digital gold. How is Bitcoin's technology upgraded? A hard fork is a radical change to the protocol that makes previously invalid blocks/transactions valid, and therefore requires all users to upgrade. For example, if users A and B are disagreeing on whether an incoming transaction is valid, a hard fork could make the transaction valid to users A and B user, but not to user C. A hard fork is a protocol upgrade that is not backward compatible. This means every node, computer connected to the Bitcoin network, using a client that performs the task of validating and relaying transactions, needs to upgrade before the new blockchain with the hard fork activates and rejects any blocks or transactions from the old blockchain. The old blockchain will continue to exist and will continue to accept transactions, although it may be incompatible with other newer Bitcoin clients. A soft fork is a change to the Bitcoin protocol, wherein only previously valid blocks/transactions are made invalid. Since old nodes will recognize the new blocks as valid, a soft fork is backward compatible. This kind of fork requires only a majority of the miners upgrading to enforce the new rules. Some examples of prominent cryptocurrencies that have undergone hard forks are the following: Bitcoin's hard fork that resulted in Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum's hard fork that resulted in Ethereum Classic. Bitcoin Cash has been hard forked since its original forking with the creation of Bitcoin SV. Read more about the difference between Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin SV here. Who are the largest corporate holders of Bitcoin? A few years ago, the idea that a publicly traded company might hold Bitcoin on its balance sheets seemed highly laughable. The flagship cryptocurrency was considered to be too volatile to be adopted by any serious business. Many top investors, including Warren Buffett, labeled the asset a bubble waiting to pop. This negative sentiment appears to have been broken, with a number of corporate behemoths buying up Bitcoin since 2020. In particular, business intelligence firm MicroStrategy set the pace after it bought $425 million worth of Bitcoin in August and September 2020. Since then, many others have followed suit, including EV manufacturer Tesla. MicroStrategy has by far the largest Bitcoin portfolio held by any publicly traded company. The business analytics platform has adopted Bitcoin as its primary reserve asset, aggressively buying the cryptocurrency through 2021 and 2022. As of August 30, 2022, the company had 129,699 Bitcoin in its reserve, equivalent to just over $2.5 billion. Other top corporate holders include Marathon Digital Holdings, with 10,054 BTC Coinbase, 9,000 Square Inc, 8,027, and Hut 8 Mining Core, 7,078. Is Bitcoin political? Bitcoin is becoming more political by the day, particularly after El Salvador began accepting the currency as legal tender. The country's president, Nayib Bukele, announced and implemented the decision almost unilaterally, dismissing criticism from his citizens. The Bank of England, the IMF, Vitalik, Buterin, and many others. Since the Bitcoin legal tender law was passed in September 2021, Bukele has also announced plans to build Bitcoin City, a city fully based on mining Bitcoin with geothermal energy from volcanoes. Countries like Mexico, Russia, and others have been rumored to be candidates also to accept Bitcoin as legal tender, but thus far, El Salvador stands alone. On the flip side, countries like China have moved to heavily clamp down on Bitcoin mining and trading activities. In May 2021, the Chinese government declared that all crypto-related transactions are illegal. This was followed by a heavy crackdown on Bitcoin mining operations, forcing many crypto-related businesses to flee to friendlier regions. Surprisingly, the anti-crypto stance of the Chinese government has done little to stop the industry. According to data by the University of Cambridge, China is now the second biggest contributor to Bitcoin's global hash rate, only behind the United States. How much is Bitcoin? The current valuation of Bitcoin is constantly moving, all day, every day. It is a truly global asset. From a start of under 1 cent per coin, BTC has risen in price by thousands of percent to the numbers you see above. The prices of all cryptocurrencies are quite volatile, meaning that anyone's understanding of how much Bitcoin is will change by the minute. However, there are times when different countries and exchanges show different prices, and understanding how much Bitcoin is will be a function of a person's location. Where can you buy Bitcoin BTC? Bitcoin is, in many regards, almost synonymous with cryptocurrency, which means that you can buy Bitcoin on virtually every crypto exchange, both for fiat money and other cryptocurrencies. Some of the main markets where BTC trading is available are Binance, Coinbase, Prukex, Kraken, Huobi Global, Bitfinex. If you are new to crypto, use CoinMarketCap's own educational portal, Alexandria, to learn how to start buying Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin energy consumption. Over the past few decades, consumers have become more curious about their energy consumption and personal effects on climate change. When news stories started swirling regarding the possible negative effects of Bitcoin's energy consumption, many became concerned about Bitcoin and criticized this energy usage. A report found that each Bitcoin transaction takes 1,173 kWh of electricity, which can power the typical American home for 6 weeks. Another report calculates that the energy required by Bitcoin annually is more than the annual hourly energy usage of Finland, a country with a population of 5.5 million. The news has produced commentary from tech entrepreneurs to environmental activists to political leaders alike. In May 2021, Tesla CEO Elon Musk even stated that Tesla would no longer accept the cryptocurrency as payment due to his concern regarding its environmental footprint. Though many of these individuals have condemned this issue and move on, some have prompted solutions. How do we make Bitcoin more energy efficient? Others have simply taken the defensive position, stating that the Bitcoin energy problem may be exaggerated.